Okay, do I need to share it on Facebook, Martin? You're live right now. Okay. All right, I'm live. All right. Just go ahead and hit it. So go ahead and start. Okay. Okay. Martin's playing the music. About to play the music, Tom. I don't, Welcome, everyone, to the inaugural edition of Dear Mr. Fantasy on the ESPN Baton Rouge YouTube channel. I'm your host, Ben Mintz, joined in the ESPN Baton Rouge studio by Playboy Marty, our producer of Dear Mr. Fantasy, as we bring fantasy football to the great people of ESPN Baton Rouge. Playboy Marty, how are you?
I'm thrilled to be here, bro.
Well, we're thrilled to have you as well, and really appreciate all the stuff you've done to the video that you put out on social media today. A lot of fun, and we're just so excited to be here. We're also joined from Shreveport via Zoom by our old friend Tyler Moody. We're getting the band back together. Tyler, how are you, bud?
Yeah, Minton Moody rides again, man. Really excited to be a part of this band. Honestly honored that you'd asked me to come back on and link back up with you once again and try and share our fantasy football knowledge with those people that choose to be with us here on Wednesday night at 10 p.m. and really just blessed to be a part of this. Thank you guys for allowing me.
We're going to keep the background on this short and sweet, but basically I hosted Mixing Up with Mintz in Shreveport for 4 years, and Tyler Moody was my co-host for 2 years. And the show took off when we were Louisiana's only fantasy football hour on radio for a few years. And, you know, we're bringing a more modern iteration of that back here to the fine folks of ESPN Baton Rouge, and that's a big part of the premise of the show. And we're thrilled to have Playboy Marty on with us too. I don't really see how I could have a better team than getting to work with you guys, and I'm just so excited about it.
Let's do it, bro.
All right, let's.
Yeah, M and M, man. Mintz, Moody, and Marty. We're about to run this thing.
I didn't even realize that it's all M's. All right.
Well, we're about, okay. We're gonna go ahead and lay out what the show's gonna be like. We're gonna hit you with a lot of info in about a 60-minute window with no breaks, and we're gonna do a recap of the week before. We're gonna spend like about a minute on each game, just super concise. We're going to have an injury report, and we're going to talk today a lot about Mike Thomas's injury and how that impacts fantasy and the Saints. Then we're going to also have a mailbag section where we're going to have people hashtag Dear Mr. Fantasy, and we're going to answer that on the show. And then we're going to hit it with a next week's preview, spending about a minute on every game. So we're going to come in here. We're going to hit this rapid fire. We're not going to usually take this long on the intro, but this being the first one, I just kind of want to lay out the dynamics for what we're doing. We're all on Twitter as well. You can follow Martin on Twitter at MartinBlack20. Moody is at Moody LSUS, I believe.
LSUS, yeah, at Moody LSUS.
At Moody
it's on the screen. It's on the screen.
Okay, there you go. See, I'm learning the YouTube thing. I'm used to just being on the radio. All right, let's hit it. Week 1, we're going to spend about a minute on each game. We'll start with the Thursday night game. That was Houston Texans and Kansas City Chiefs. KC winning 34-20. Not huge numbers from Patrick Mahomes. They played with the lead, so they kind of dialed it back. But Clyde Edwards-Helaire was the story. A lot of people drafted him first round in fantasy, and man, what a game. Over 140 yards and 2 touchdowns in his debut.
Yeah, also David Johnson back to his old self, and I drafted Will Fuller in one of my leagues, 100% playing him. He's taken over the ball hog, or the target hog of DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, and look, that's the biggest thing with Houston, right, is that all those targets that DeAndre Hopkins had, they've been vacated. Somebody has to step in and fill that gap. And also, the Texans have really been needing a running back that can step up. Lamar Miller was always hurt. If David Johnson can stay healthy this year, I actually think David Johnson could be a top 8 running back and can really return some of the best value in fantasy this season. I know it's 1 week. He had a really good week 1 last season and then kind of fell off. But it's shaping up with Duke Johnson leaving for David Johnson to really take over and thrive. And then on the other side, if you have any piece of the Kansas City offense, have them in your lineup every single week. It's one of the best offenses that's ever touched the football field.
Are y'all worried about Deshaun Watson, who looked a little rough in this game, had a backdoor rushing touchdown and a backdoor passing touchdown? You know, kind of needs to get on the same page as some of his new. He's got Brandon Cooks and Will Fuller and Kiki Cootie and and Kenny Stills out there, they kind of looked out of rhythm in this game.
I think he's in serious danger of his average draft position just not planning out.
Well, the biggest thing for them is their offensive line still not very good. He's always running for his life. He doesn't have guys that can truly separate. Like Will Fuller, incredible, and getting down the field, but still not an elite route runner. He did have a good game, and he's going to be very viable this season. And I'm not ready to talk about the demise of Deshaun Watson by any means, because he's going to run for a touchdown per game. It feels like he's going to create points out of nothing. But he's maybe not quite the top 4 quarterbacks that some people dreamed of when they drafted him.
On the Kansas City side, Tyreek Hill caught a touchdown. Travis Kelce looked good. I don't have a whole lot to say on that. Let's keep this thing rolling because we're trying to keep
Stars.
Keeping this
Roll them.
trying to keep this thing concise. All right, next up. Next game we're talking about is Miami and New England. Cam Newton running the ball, 15 carries, 75 yards, 2 touchdowns. Also looked pretty good throwing the football. And something I talked a lot about was New England coming out and being more of a rushing attack this year. And, if Cam runs like that, he's going to have some fantasy value.
Oh, yeah. I mean, anyone who drafted him, especially in 2 quarterback leagues, like as their second quarterback, got to be thrilled because he's their goal line option. Like, Josh McDaniels is using him the exact same way that you would imagine he would. Like, I would feel great about that in a 2 quarterback league.
30 positive plays from Cam Newton, 4 negative plays. Perfect start to the season. Very viable in fantasy as well. But I'll tell you this: I do not want any of the receivers for New England. Like even Julian Edelman. Like it's tough for me to start Edelman on a week-to-week basis. So yeah, maybe Cam is going to carry some value, but the rest of these New England players, man, they're going to be very, very tough to trust on a weekly basis right now, especially with the way their game script can go from game to game. And as far as Miami's concerned, like Devontae Parker, cool. Gaskin, worth paying attention to, but outside of that, not a whole lot that I want right now with Miami.
Is Mike Gesicki even worth?
Gesicki, 12 to 14 range for me. Like, yeah, if you're desperate, get him in there. He's a name that you can trot out there that may catch a touchdown, but I'm not overly hyped about it by any means.
Okay.
No, he doesn't have the look of like a Mark Andrews, Darren Waller to me. He doesn't.
No, he doesn't have that skill set, but they did have a great rapport last year, him and Fitzpatrick, so that's kind of what you're hoping will carry through into this season. He had 3 for 30 in game 1. Again, he's an option, but he's not one that you want to be super confident in.
On the New England front, it's always a nightmare on the New England running backs. We saw that in this game. Sonny Michel did get in the end zone. Rex Burkhead played a lot. James White's going to be the third down back. I mean, can we rely on any of these guys?
Only 8 touches for James White. I think that's maybe the least he's had in a couple of years. I'm not for sure on that, but only 8 touches in this game. He only had 3 catches. I know that's a low. I think he had 5 catches or so in like every game last year for James White.
All right, well, this one was low scoring. We're going to move on past this one. I don't have too much more to say. All right, let's talk about Cleveland and Baltimore. Lamar Jackson picking right up where he left off last year. Looked great in this game. And then Hollywood Brown, over 100 yards. Mark Andrews, who had a phenomenal year last year, had 5 catches, 58 yards, 2 touchdowns. And then also J.K. Dobbins making some plays in this game. This Baltimore offense looked amazing.
He got the goal line carries over Ingram. Like, Dobbins is looking to have some serious value this year. I don't have him in any leagues. I'm upset about it.
They talked about coming into the season that they were going to use a rotation. That's exactly what you saw. 10 carries for Ingram, 7 carries for Dobbins. Even Gus Edwards had 4 carries. They want to make sure Mark Ingram is healthy for the end of the season. It's a team that's playing for a Super Bowl, and they would love to have Ingram and Dobbins healthy. They're going to be splitting carries the rest of the season is my assumption. And Ingram's going to get some goal line carries too. Dobbins is not going to vulture all of these. I think that has kind of happened in week 1. But
yeah, well, something interesting about this, too, is that I think Cleveland's just going to be down a lot basically all season, and I think Kareem Hunt's going to be their garbage time back. I think he might end up scoring more fantasy points than Chubb. That's my hot take on this.
Ooh, I don't know about that. I know Cleveland may not have the best. I'm not willing to say they're going to be just awful just yet. I know they got embarrassed in this game, but Baltimore – is now hasn't lost since they were 2-2, I believe, last year when they lost to Cleveland in Week 5 at home. I'm real curious to see what Cleveland looks like against Cincinnati tomorrow night, seeing if they can run the ball, because they spent big on Jack Conklin at right tackle. They drafted Jedrick Wills, left tackle, Alabama. I think this is the team that's going to really try to stick to the run with Chubb and Hunt this year. I don't like Landry or Beckham as much this year.
Yeah, drop Austin Hooper too.
Yeah, Hooper's value is going the wrong direction. I still think Nick Chubb's going to be fine, but this new regime does like Kareem Hunt. They both have standalone value. But look, Chubb, people drafted him as a top 10 pick. I don't think he's going to return that value. I have him in a keeper league, and I'm a little concerned that he's not going to be the RB1 elite class that I was hoping for, like I got from him in times last year.
That's more what I meant. Not necessarily he's going to score more points overall. Just more value.
I'm with you. Yeah.
Obviously, Baker Mayfield, you don't want anything to do with in a fantasy football league. I don't think that takes necessarily a rocket scientist to see that. Let's move on to the New York Jets and Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen had a huge fantasy game with over 300 yards passing. Also ran well. We saw him spread the ball out. Stephon Diggs looked good in his first game for the Buffalo Bills after they traded a ton to the Minnesota Vikings. John Brown out there looked good too. The running backs for Buffalo, both Zach Moss and Devin Singletary, kind of struggled in this one. Josh Allen's performance against the Jets, is this a sign of things to come or a fluke, Tyler Moody?
Very real, very real. Josh Allen's the real deal, man.
Wow,
yeah.
okay.
I mean, is he gonna return this every single week? Maybe not quite here, but look, man, he looks like what Cam Newton once upon a time was. Like, he's not quite that fast, but man, he gets downhill. He can sling the ball all around the field. He can throw from weird arm angles. He can throw with pressure in his face because he's so tall. And he takes the hits well in the pocket. Like he'll stand in there and make a throw. I like Josh Allen a lot. I think adding Stephon Diggs on the outside is such a boon to this offense. So yeah, I think it's real. Is he going to be the top fantasy quarterback? Probably not, but I think he could be a top 5. I hate to say it because I don't own him in any leagues, but Josh Allen, legitimate fantasy quarterback.
Wow, look, the rushing yardage and stats and TDs are great. I still got to see more. I got to see more consistent passing still. I know he had a good game here, but
he gets the easy throw yips like a lot. Like John Brown should have had 2 touchdowns in that game that he just missed for no reason. Like I like Josh Allen too. I'm a huge believer in Josh Allen, but he just the head scratching plays still happen. And I mean, at this point, maybe that's who he is. Maybe he'll improve. But, like, I still like him as a fantasy player big time. Just if he was the face of my franchise, not sure I love it.
Do y'all like Zach Moss or Devin Singletary more as Buffalo?
Moss. I just think he's going to get more of the goal line work.
I'll probably split them because I think Singletary looked pretty good last year. It's probably 60-40 Singletary for me. He caught 5 balls in this game, so.
On the Jets front, Jamison Crowder had a 69-yard touchdown. Denzel Mims is already hurt, the second-round pick. The running back Le'Veon Bell looks. I mean,
he's out 3 or 4 weeks. Like he's out. He's hurt. He's for sure out at least 2 to 3 weeks.
Is there anybody on this Jets team you want to own?
No, I'm selling Crowder.
Josh Adams. I picked up Josh Adams. Jamison Crowder, the only person on this team that I want, and I've got him in all 3 of my leagues. He will be in my lineup in my wide receiver 3 spot again this week. And I mean, look at last year, man. Jamison Crowder catches footballs when he is healthy and he's on the field. He's almost good for 6 or 8 catches per game, like 6 to 8 almost every game. He had 7 in this one. I love Jamison Crowder in PPR league.
Very solid PPR guy. All right, let's move on to a game. A lot to talk about this next one because it was high scoring. Las Vegas and Carolina. The debut of the Joe Brady Panthers offense, and we know Christian McCaffrey's the number 1 pick in fantasy. He looked awesome in this game. Teddy Bridgewater. I thought a pretty solid debut, granted against a bad Raiders defense. And then Josh Jacobs, 3 touchdowns for Las Vegas in this game. On the Carolina front, what did you think of Teddy Bridgewater's performance?
I mean, I think he has a chance to be solid, okay, like a safe play. Like in a 2 QB league, is you QB2, sure. You're not upset about that.
I think he could be okay as a second quarterback because I think Carolina's a team that's going to play a lot of overs this year with the Joe Brady offense. They're super young on defense. We're going to be seeing a bunch of high-scoring games in that front. McCaffrey's certainly good. I know a lot of people are high on DJ Moore. I'm not totally sure on him. Moody, what do you think?
I'm on the opposite. I don't want to say the opposite side. I don't think Teddy's going to have a very good year. I think that for me, I can't start a single one of these Carolina receivers on a week-to-week basis. I know that a lot of people are kind of hyping up this DJ Moore thing. Are you confident going into Sunday saying, oh, man, and what am I going to get out of Teddy and DJ Moore on Sunday? Like, it feels like too much risk, but some people are going to be stuck in that spot right now, and maybe DJ Moore is one of those players you look to trade. But for me, Christian McCaffrey is the only guy that I really want anything to do with in this Carolina offense. And if you're stuck with one of these other guys, like Robbie Anderson, look, he could hit a home run. He's great for DFS, but you don't really want him in your lineup on Sunday.
No, he's a bench stasher, in my opinion.
Agreed.
Yeah. I hadn't thought. DJ Moore, I just always thought was maybe the most sucker pick of the entire draft to me. Because, like, he was going, like, 3rd, 4th round. And, like, Okay, so before every draft I do, I always pick about like 3-4 teams, write it on a sticky note, and like those are and I don't touch players on that team. And this year it was Panthers, not named Christian McCaffrey, Jets, and Dolphins. So
I had the Chargers on mine.
Fair.
I like
Redskins
Eckler.
on mine too.
But I'm panicking. I'm smashing the panic button on Eckler.
On the Vegas Raiders front, as we mentioned, Josh Jacobs had a really good game. Derek Carr had good stats in this one. Do y'all think Henry Ruggs could show anything? He looked all right in this game for a rookie.
I've got him, and I took a flyer on him. But in that high scoring of a game, Derek Carr didn't even look that good against a bad Carolina defense. I don't know. I don't know if he's going to be able to get the ball.
He's another one of those guys that are just on the cusp of being startable, but he's too risky But he has no other weapons out there besides Darren Waller and Josh Jacobs. Like Nelson Aguilar only had one ball in this game. Hunter Renfrow, he's fine, whatever. But Henry Ruggs is going to be the guy. So if you're in a deep league, a 12 to 14 team league, like there's definitely some room for Henry Ruggs to be on your roster and maybe even in your flex. If you think there's going to be a high scoring game, he could easily catch a 60-yard touchdown. He's got wheels for it. Yeah, I think he's ownable, but he's risky, of course.
Darren Waller is solid. The one thing, he does get a ton of targets for Vegas, and so he's a solid tight end. All right, let's move on to Seattle and Atlanta. Russell Wilson goes 31 of 35 in this game, and DK Metcalf dropped a wide-open 20-yard pass as one of the 4 incompletions. DK caught a long touchdown on a 4th down and 5. Wilson looked extremely good. Chris Carson caught 2 touchdown passes. Looked like kind of a split with Carson and Carlos Hyde. I picked up Carlos Hyde in a couple leagues.
Me too.
I feel like he could have some value later in the season. Greg Olsen caught a touchdown pass. Not sure how much fantasy value he's going to have. Moody, how are you? What are your thoughts on Russell Wilson and DK Metcalf this year?
If you were holding a gun to my head right now and you said pick a Super Bowl matchup, Seattle, Kansas.
That's what I picked. That's what I picked before the year. Before the year, I picked that.
Man. We're the same people. It's amazing. We're always the same. And then I watched, and this doesn't have anything to do with fantasy, but Jamal Adams is an absolute monster, dude. He changed the game. I haven't watched a game in a while where I just watched the dude fly around the field and change the whole game. But he's incredible. Russell Wilson is just as incredible on the offensive side of the football. 31 of 35 in this game. Money. DK Metcalf is who we thought he was. He's an incredible athlete with decent hands, and sometimes he's going to drop some footballs. But, man, with Lockett on the other side, they can run. They got size. Chris Carson's a beast. Seattle's a real deal.
Jamal Adams is actually an incredible individual defensive player. In one of my leagues, we do individual defensive players in that. And on that, I know Hayden Hurst didn't have a very good game, but I'm not giving up on that, mainly because that's what Jamal Adams does, is he neutralizes tight ends. And so people that drafted Hayden Hurst, you're fine.
Moody was very high on Hayden Hurst going into this year, too, because you saw what Austin Hooper did in Atlanta the last few years, and Matt Ryan likes throwing to the tight end. On the Atlanta front, Matt Ryan threw for 450 yards, but they were playing from behind. Big numbers for Calvin Ridley. I guess not a surprise when Ryan threw that many passes. He threw 54 passes in this game. I still got questions. I don't like Todd Gurley this year at all, and I don't have any faith in Atlanta's running game.
I think they're going to be down a lot. Like, I think the Atlanta wide receivers are serious garbage time contenders, and Matt Ryan too. Maybe like he's not an awful QB1, honestly.
Oh, look, if you guys have been rolling with me for a while, you know this is my ride or die, man. It's Matt Ryan. I'll go to the dance with Matt Ryan every single day, and I'll whatever bullets come our way, me and Matt Ryan will take them together. I love this Atlanta offense. I'm going to love this Atlanta offense as long as Matt Ryan and Julio Jones are there together. Calvin Ridley blew up this week. He's going to have big games. Hayden Hurst is going to have better days. He's going to mimic Austin Hooper's numbers from last year, in my personal opinion. Todd Gurley's going to get some touchdowns. I love Atlanta. Atlanta, for me, is a top 5 fantasy offense.
Don't forget Russell Gage, 9 catches, 114 yards in this game.
Oh, yeah, Gage.
And Russell Gage can ball, man. This is a team, guys. They're a great fantasy team. Their defense is going to give up points, and that is exactly what I want week after week.
Yeah. Can we talk about Chris Carson, or about Carlos Hyde just real quick one more time? Just really want to emphasize how good of a pickup I feel about getting Carlos Hyde. Didn't even use a waiver claim. That's way more of a committee than people thought. I know Carson put up big numbers in this game, but that's way more of a committee than people thought. And Carson sort of injury prone. So I like Carlos Hyde big moving forward.
I've got Chris Carson in 2 leagues. I think he's going to be a stud. but they want to protect him because of what you just said. He gets hurt, and this is a team that's playing for a Super Bowl. You want your best back healthy whenever the playoffs roll around. So
all right, well, I'm pulling
Carlos
against you,
Hyde
Moody.
will get carried.
Moving on to Washington, Philly. Philly had a ton of injuries for being early in the year, playing without all-pro right tackle Lane Johnson and running back Miles Sanders. Alshon Jeffrey always banged up again. Philly, the thing I want to comment on was Dallas Goedert had a huge game, had over 100 yards and a touchdown. Moody, do you think he continues to emerge this year?
Yeah, is he going to get 100 yards every game? Probably not. Zach Ertz is going to obviously get quite a few of those targets too, but there's no weapons on the outside in Philadelphia like Jalen Rager. Okay,
He caught a long one, but still, I don't.
Yeah, you're over and over. Who are the guys that Carson Wentz is going to look to? Goddard and Wentz. And Ertz. So yeah, either one of those guys, they feel like they're neck and neck right now. They both kind of feel like tight end ones.
Do y'all think the Ertz contract talks improve Goddard? Is it Goddard or Goddard? Whatever it is, do you think that helps his value? Let's go Goddard. Do you think that helps his value?
I think it's Goddard. Yeah.
I think it kind of does.
It certainly doesn't hurt. Here's the thing. I think coming into the year, they wanted to be in 2 tight end sets. They wanted to split out Ertz out some.
Yeah,
like this was
good
part
point.
of their plan. I just think that was kind of who they were going to have to be depending upon their personnel anyways. But it certainly didn't hurt him. I promise you that, Marty.
Miles Sanders comes back this week. They certainly missed him in this last game. I know he was a very hyped up fantasy guy on Washington's team. I love their front seven on defense, but I don't know any. I know some people like Terry McLaurin a little bit, but there isn't a whole lot I like about this offense at all from a fantasy perspective. Literally, I don't want anything to do with any of it.
What do y'all think about Antonio Gibson? Are we panicking?
That's the guy. Like if you're going to have a piece of this offense, maybe Antonio Gibson, just based on volume. It looks like he's going to be the guy that gets the touches out of the backfield. So
He looks
Antonio
slow,
Gibson,
man.
Yeah, he's not. But look, there's been guys in this league putting up fantasy points with not much talent because they've been getting the workload, and I think that's kind of where he's at. He's not a very sexy pick, but like he might be a flex option for you from week to week right now as long as he's getting volume.
All right, let's move on to the next one because we're going to be doing these 1 minute recaps of these games, and I love it though. I'm glad we're touching on all of them. All right, Chicago, Detroit. On a non-fantasy point, I'm still just gutted for my Detroit by 2.5 pick that really crushed me in this game. Kenny Golladay was out in this game. That's a big loss for Detroit. AP looked good for Detroit. I think Kerryon Johnson may already be a cut possibly.
Oh, yeah.
Stafford looked good in this game, though. He certainly threw what should have been the winning touchdown pass to DeAndre Swift. Even without Golladay, I thought he looked pretty good against a tough defense. Trubisky looked horrible for Chicago the whole game, the whole first 3 quarters, and then went off in the fourth. Anthony Miller catching the game-winning touchdown pass. I like Matt Stafford this year a lot, Moody. What do you think?
Yeah, it'll be a lot better whenever he's got Marvin Jones on the field. I'll tell you. Kenny Golladay back on the field. Yeah, he's such an elite weapon for him on the outside. Like Golladay can really play. So, but yeah, Stafford looked pretty good. He missed some throws. He also was under a lot of pressure in this game. Matt Stafford, kind of like Matt Ryan, you know what you're going to get. You got a bad defense on the other side. They're going to sling it around most of the game. And Matthew Stafford is the king of garbage time points. So you always run the risk of him, throwing some picks in garbage time and costing you a week. But for the most part, Matthew Stafford is going to be one of those guys that you can roll with and feel pretty comfortable with.
I think Anthony Miller's value kind of shot up a little bit this week.
I've always loved Anthony Miller going back to his University of Memphis days. He torched Ole Miss and had an unbelievable college career.
Hey, they're kind of becoming a mini NFL factory.
Yeah, Memphis, especially running back and receiver. They're sending tons.
Sure.
Tons of guys in the league. I just can't trust Trubisky. And that's.
Are we worried about Marvin Jones, Kenny Golladay? Well, Kenny Golladay was hurt, but are we worried about Marvin Jones?
He played okay. He drew here's the thing for Marvin Jones. He's going to get number 2 coverage most of the time, and he can win against second tier coverage, right? Whenever he's not seeing the main guy. So I think they'll be okay. I think when they're fully healthy, and I like Hawkinson. We didn't mention Hawkinson.
Oh,
I think
do like
Hawkinson deserves a little bit of praise right here. He's actually the one person for me that I looked at coming out of this game and said, man, I wish I had a little more TJ Hawkinson on my teams. So he's a guy, if you're looking to go trade for a mid-tier tight end, you need to hope he has a bad week in week 2, and then you go trade for him. That's something to think about if you're weak at tight end right now.
Well, as an Allen Robinson fantasy owner, how concerned should I be? What are y'all's take on that? He unfollowed all of his Bears teammates, removed, or I don't know if he did that, but he removed all Bears stuff from his social media. Do we think he ends the season in Chicago? And even if he doesn't, is that necessarily a bad thing. I don't know what to think about it. I'm nervous. Please comfort me.
I made sure I didn't draft him because I didn't want anything to do with this team.
I went running back, quarterback, so I needed a receiver, and he was just the only one there. That's why I ended up with him.
And it's not awful. Allen Robinson has produced numbers every single year with some of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL.
Right.
He's a pretty talented player, man. Like, he's really not bad, but he's always the guy that you're like, dang, bro, like, I got Allen Robinson, you know, like, he's good, but you're still
you're never pumped. Yeah, you're exactly right.
All right, let's hit on Indianapolis and Jacksonville. Phillip Rivers special here. Looked good most of the game, but 2 awful interceptions that ultimately cost them. Marlon Mack got hurt. Nyheim Hines caught a couple touchdowns and could have a big role in the pass catching role with Jonathan Taylor running for Indy. I don't own a lot of Indy guys because I'm not a big Phillip Rivers fan. But Moody, what were your thoughts on their offense?
Man, for like the first 20 minutes of the game, I was like, wow, Indy's going to be pretty darn good. Like, P. Riv's hitting every single throw.
Mm-hmm.
And then he kept hitting all of his throws, but they were for like 6 yards and 5 yards and 2 yards. And you were just like, they're going nowhere with this offense. And ultimately, that's kind of what they ended up doing. They only scored 20 points in this game. They went nowhere, and they went nowhere fast at certain times. But I got T.Y. Hilton in one of my leagues. Like, he feels like he's going to be okay because P. Riv, he can still throw the football. He had 36 completions. He threw 46 times. Like, it feels like there's going to be enough volume for T.Y. Hilton and Paris Campbell to have some value, but I don't feel great about it. And Jonathan Taylor.
I think Campbell looks better. I think this is the beginning of the end for T.Y. Hilton, and that stinks because he was always – I think I've had him like 4 years in a row at one point. I love T.Y. Hilton, but Campbell just looked better to me. I think I think the days of T.Y. Hilton being someone you're excited about having on your fantasy team are long gone.
I wasn't too big on Jonathan Taylor this year. I didn't like Taylor that much.
He went second round in one of my leagues. Second round.
Yes.
Granted, the guy's an idiot, but like.
People were ripping him like way too early in a lot of these leagues, and I'm sitting there saying, man, you're just wasting a pick. Like, yeah, he's going to have some games later on in the season, but they look like a genius today. Marlon Mack's out for the season, and Jonathan Taylor looked really incredible on the field. So I would say right now, if you were one of those people that had the cojones to pull the trigger on Jonathan Taylor, you kind of look like a genius today.
Well, you know, they're going to try to run.
Cojones,
they're going to try to run the ball behind that O-line and not allow Rivers to keep screwing these games up. Indy killed so many people in survivor pools this week. I loved it because I had Kansas City. Jackson.
Hey, what about Gardner Minshew, bro?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Jack 19 of 20. Completed 95% of his passes.
He's my favorite player in the NFL. Easy.
Wow. Is he? Okay. He's got swagger to him, right? He's got swagger like maybe no one else in the NFL has. It's very unique to him, and people are gravitating towards that. And I think his teammates are gravitating towards that. He didn't go out here and electrify in this game. He was 19 of 20, but he played as efficient of football as you could possibly play from the quarterback position. So is he going to do this every single game? I don't know, man. The Colts are pretty decent on defense. So
I do think he's kind of going to ruin their major league plan, their tank for Trevor plan.
I agree.
They got a little bit of that like Fitzy Miami feel from last year where everybody thinks they're going to win no games and they're going to play hard and maybe be a little more fun than people think. That's kind of how I feel.
Yeah.
They got a little of that.
The exact same, actually.
They got that feel to them.
Mm-hmm.
The Jacksonville pass catching situation, I know LSU people like DJ Shark, it seems like they're going to spread it out with him and Keelan Cole, and I don't know. I don't want to. I'm not really too big on anybody on Jacksonville. Basically, I want Chris Thompson to get more of a role as third down back, but he didn't do anything in this game. I kind of liked him.
Yeah, James
I dropped Chris Thompson. I dropped him so fast.
All right, let
me real quick before we move on. I want to ask y'all, what do you think about Nyheim Hines? Because for me, he's one of those guys. I'm like, man, I don't know. Should I be more interested in him or Jonathan Taylor? Like, I'm curious what you thought.
I like Hines more than most because I think Rivers. You look at how much Rivers used to dump it off to Eckler and how much he dumps it off, and Hines was, he's kind of in North Carolina State. He was like a kind of H-back tight end type that him and Jalen Samuels, who now plays for the Steelers, had that exact role back-to-back years, and so. Hines is awesome running routes and catching the ball. And, Jonathan Taylor's going to be the running back on the running downs, and Hines is going to catch a ton of balls on passing downs. And now that Marlon Mack's gone, I mean, if you're in a half-point or full-point PPR, I think you could do worse than Nyheim Hines. I just didn't want to pay a bunch to get him because –
Yeah, I like Hines a lot. How do you say his first name?
Nyheim.
It's Nyheim?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
But, yeah, that's kind of my take. But I like him more than most. I didn't spend a bunch on waivers to get him, though. All right, L.A. Chargers – Cincinnati Bengals, boy, I felt bad for Burrow. That O-line got more than destroyed. The Chargers do have a ferocious pass rush. led by Joey Bosa. I also thought Jerry Tillery from up in Shreveport, Evangel Notre Dame product, had a monster game in this game. Still like what Burrow did.
Hey, can we throw a 3-1-8?
Burrow brought him down. Burrow brought him down and threw what people thought was the winning touchdown to AJ Green. Obviously, the Randy Bullock, whatever happened on that missed kick, certainly unfortunate. I thought AJ Green looked pretty good. He had 5 catches, 51 yards. This was a low-scoring game. The Chargers have one of the top 5 defenses, I think, in the NFL. So I'm not necessarily writing the Bengals' offense off as being too bad. I'm really impressed by the Chargers' defense.
I'm still rolling with AJ Green. That's my biggest takeaway of this. I have him in a league. I'm not concerned. I still think he's going to be a very good target for Burrow, and I'm rolling with him on Thursday.
Yeah, look, Burrow's going to have much better games than this. Cincinnati's offensive line is still bad. They are improved. They were god-awful last year. They're slightly better this season, but he's going to be under duress quite a bit, and the Chargers can get after the quarterback. Like, maybe they're one of the top pass rushers in the NFL. So I'm not worried about Burrow. I like A.J. Green, but one person I expect to see more out of is Tyler Boyd moving forward. Mm-hmm. I didn't really, go out seeking, and also Joe Mixon, too. I expect them to be better. But Tyler Boyd was a sneaky pick for me this year. He's a guy that I ended up, and I never draft Bengals, but I believe in Burrow just enough to make me draft Tyler Boyd. So I think there's a chance that he could provide some value down the stretch. We'll find out. This Bengals offense is still one of the most unknowns coming into this season, I would say.
On the Chargers offensive front, I wanted nothing to do with literally anybody. I know some people like Eckler. I just had do not drafts on everyone because Tyrod Taylor's going to go 12 for 18 for 150 yards every week.
What do you think about Mike Williams, though?
The one thing
he got a lot of targets.
That Tyrod does well is throw the football down the field. What's Mike Williams go do? He goes down the field and goes up and gets the football. I actually think he is better suited for Tyrod's game maybe than even Keenan Allen is, because I'm a Keenan Allen owner, and guys, I'm terrified, to be honest. I ended up with Keenan. I thought there was a chance that maybe Justin Herbert would win the job, and I was like, okay, I feel okay with Herbert. But, man, I'm not feeling very good about Mike Williams or Keenan Allen if I'm owning them, or Hunter Henry. I don't think Hunter Henry's going to have that great of a season. So,
do you remember what round you got him in?
Chargers. Keenan Allen, he fell like to the 6th or 7th.
Right. So, his average draft position kind of took a hit. So I don't think he's not losing your league, I don't think.
No, of course not. Come on, bro.
Come on.
No, I'm just kidding. But I did want to get.
I had the lowest scoring point total in one of my leagues last week. It is not good.
It happens. And look, here's something I want to say to any fantasy owner. Do not judge your entire season upon 1 week, guys. You
good or
can have
bad.
Some really good players have one bad week, no doubt. Michael Gagliano here on Facebook says Burrow will get the offense going eventually. He needs more time with the weapons. And, of course, he points out a very key thing here that we all need to remember. None of these players had a preseason, and including Burrow. That's huge for a number 1 overall pick. And none of these guys, they didn't have a preseason. They didn't have training camps hardly. They didn't have a chance to get on the same page with their guys. That's why these new quarterbacks, new teams, they struggled in week 1. I think they'll be better down the stretch. That's why you saw teams like Seattle and New Orleans and the Rams with continuity. They came back and they played really well in week 1.
Speaking of fun week 1 stuff, let's talk about Arizona going to San Francisco.
Let's talk about it.
Well, we're sticking to the fantasy perspective, but Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins, boy, gotta love Murray running for 91 yards and looking good throwing the football, making all kinds of plays in the second half, beginning of second year. DeAndre Hopkins, 14 catches for 151 yards. What a sparkling debut.
Yeah, I mean, the fantasy-wise, I just have to say how good Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins looked. I just have to say that just from a team perspective. Sorry, we're done. But from a fantasy perspective, my biggest takeaway with the Cardinals is Kenyon Drake should not have been drafted where he got drafted. That Chase, I wouldn't say he's in a running back battle, but it's way more than you want your first-round pick to be in.
Well, Drake had the 7 touchdowns in the two fantasy playoff games last year, and he won me my championship. But certainly when it happened,
put him in the fantasy playoff Hall of Fame. Put him in the fantasy playoff Hall of Fame. But it wasn't that hard to predict that that wouldn't necessarily continue. That workload wouldn't continue into this year.
Look, Chase Edmonds was a guy that ended up on every single one of my teams because I felt like he was just as talented, if not more talented, than Kenyon Drake. I think there's a really good chance that he provides some of the best value of any player in the NFL this year for fantasy. But we'll worry about them later. DeAndre Hopkins is a monster. Kyler Murray is a dude that you are going to have so much fun watching every single game this year. You might as well get your popcorn ready. Like, the dude is electric. I love – one of my favorite things in the NFL right now is watching the defender coming at Kyler Murray and him deciding which side he's going to juke this guy to and just puts a spin move on him. Like, he's incredibly talented. There's nobody as quick as him in the NFL, and he can really sling it.
Yeah,
and Larry Fitzgerald's got value still.
Yeah, definitely. But like the biggest thing heading into the year, the biggest question mark on DeAndre Hopkins was people thought his targets would go down because he got so many targets in Houston forever, and it doesn't look like they are. And honestly, if we redrafted, do you think he's the first receiver off the board?
Him or Devontae Adams?
Devontae Adams. Okay,
Devontae
yeah. Never mind.
I don't.
Yeah.
Well,
probably Devontae, but Hopkins looks good.
On the San Fran front, this receiving core is in trouble with Debo being out and losing Emmanuel Sanders. I mean, they had Kendrick Bourne and Trent. I mean, I love Trent Taylor being a Shreveport and Louisiana Tech guy and all that, but, I don't know.
Another Evangel guy there. Another Evangel.
Yeah, there you go. Evangel getting some love here on this show. But the Niners receiving core and passing game concerns me. I still feel good about George Kittle, but obviously don't love Garoppolo. The running game, Jarrett McKinnon finally being back healthy, so now they've got McKinnon, Coleman, and Raheem Mostert.
I like McKinnon as bench depth, definitely, and in deep leagues, like maybe you play him. I thought McKinnon looked all right.
Mostert's the dude. He had 15 carries in this game. He had like an 81-yard touchdown.
Killed me.
76-yard touchdown. He's got incredible value coming into the season. Why? Is it because Raheem Mostert is an insanely talented running back? No. It's because he's the running back in a Kyle Shanahan offense, and they're going to put up fantasy points.
Yes.
And so sometimes I will take a dude that's not as talented, who's in a good role, a defined role with a good team and a good offense. I'll take him every single time, and Mostert fits exactly what they want to do. I think he's going to have a really sneaky good season.
Moving on to Tampa Bay and New Orleans. This game, when you look at the final score, you'd think kind of higher scoring, but both teams struggled to move the ball in this game. The Saints, obviously, we'll get to Mike Thomas's injury more in a minute. I thought the front seven of Tampa gave New Orleans a lot of trouble. Breeze didn't look the most mobile necessarily back there. Jared Cook, 5 catches, 80 yards, caught a 46-yarder, looked good. Emmanuel Sanders with a touchdown. Alvin Kamara, I love seeing the 3 touchdowns, but only had 20-something yards in this game. On the Tampa side, Brady had a couple interceptions. Can't say that's a big shock with the continuity issues we kind of discussed. Mike Evans played with the hurt hamstring. Chris Godwin got a concussion. Moody, a guy that we always loved, O.J. Howard, finally maybe post-hype breakout here, hopefully.
Oh, hopefully, man. Like, he's so talented. And he's had Cameron Brate there just beating up his target share the entire time. And now here comes Rob Gronkowski, a Hall of Fame tight end, coming to eat up just enough to make him maybe not viable. And once again, we're sitting here looking at O.J. Howard with all this potential, just dreaming of what could be. And maybe it will be with Tom Brady, man. Brady has flourished in the past with 2 tight end sets. Obviously, going back to the Aaron Hernandez and Gronk days, maybe they can replicate that just a bit here. But O.J. Howard right now, if you are desperate for a tight end, he's definitely somebody you could think about rolling with. Yeah, for sure.
I went with him this week against Carolina, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
I think he's the only tight end on Tampa Bay that's worth rostering at this point, honestly. I think Gronk is more of a human interest story than a fantasy story now.
Gronk may catch some touchdowns in the red zone. That's the only thing. Like, he's going to be touchdown dependent. That's at least what I feel like right now.
He's a bench stash for me.
Couple other guys on Tampa Bay's offense. I want to touch on Scotty Miller. Looks like the Brady slot guy, and if it's a full point PPR, I think he's worth an ad. He did look good. No, yeah. I don't think he's worth an ad and a half point PPR, but a full point PPR he might be. And I want to talk about this Tampa Bay running back situation. I thought Ronald Jones looked good. He looked explosive. Fournette struggled in this game. Do y'all expect kind of a timeshare coming there?
I think we'll see more and more Fournette as the season goes. I think it's more Ronald Jones knows the offense. Bruce Arians is old school. Wanted to go with that. I think we'll see more and more Fournette as we go. That's just my take.
Yeah, no, I would agree with you there, Marty. Look, he was only on the roster for 5 or 6 days, even prior to the game. So he doesn't know much of the offense. He only touched the ball 5 times. I think you'll probably see this turn into about an even timeshare as we move forward. Jones is still going to catch some footballs coming out of the backfield. That's not necessarily going to lean Fournette's way, but I think they may actually both hurt each other too much down the stretch of the season because Tampa Bay is going to throw the football. And if you have both of them getting, 8 to 12 carries, like, is that enough to start them in your flex? they may cut into each other and make it neither one usable. Actually, it's something to monitor here. We'll pay attention and we'll talk about it more as we move forward.
Certainly. Saints with a 34-23 win. Let's touch on the Sunday night game between the Rams and the Cowboys. Malcolm Brown had over 70 yards and 2 touchdowns. Robert Woods looked pretty good in this game. I still am not a Jared Goff fan for fantasy perspectives too much. Now that Gerald Everett's back at tight end, I'm not as big on Tyler Higbee, who went off late last year and had I believe 4 straight 100-yard games. But the Rams did look good on the offensive line, looked better, and kind of like the old days in this one. Did you have any takeaways from the Rams offense?
Well, just what percentage of leagues do we think Malcolm Brown was the number 1 waiver claim in? I mean, over 80. Like, that dude looks like he's going to be the guy there. Cam Akers, I mean, they drafted him second round for a reason, so maybe we'll see more of him, but he looked completely neutralized in there, and I think this is finally the year Malcolm Brown's coming out.
Yeah, I think it's certainly possible. They drafted Cam Akers high for a reason. He's going to touch the football at some point, but they almost had an even timeshare as far as touches, or at least rushing attempts. 14 for Akers, 18 for Brown, but Brown looked like the better back.
Yeah.
But most importantly, this team's going to throw the football a lot down the stretch, and I think Jared Goff is somebody that right now, if he is dropped in any of your leagues, go pick up Jared Goff right now. He's going to be very usable down the stretch of the season. They're going to sling it around. He's going to have much better games than this one. Dallas defense is fairly stout, so I got a feeling Goff's going to have
I don't know.
Much better game.
Well, the Rams are trying to run the ball, though, take pressure off him. That's when they do
They're going to throw it, too. They're going to throw the football, trust me. They're going to sling it around.
Let's talk about this.
I like Robert Woods, though. People that got Robert Woods, he fell in my drafts, so I feel like his average draft position, a lot of value there.
They do a good job being creative with him, too. They run jet sweeps, screens. They get him the ball in a variety of different ways.
And there may just be a lack of speed on the outside for Dallas because, it really looked like, especially at the beginning of the game, that they could get whatever they wanted on the outside. So we'll see.
Let's talk about this Cowboys side of it. You certainly like the receiving core combo of CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, and Amari Cooper. They all do cut into each other a little bit as far as a fantasy perspective. Blake Jarwin going to be out for the year with a torn ACL. Hate that because I kind of thought he was a sleeper tight end. Dalton Schultz struggled, to say the least. Zeke Elliott still looks really good. Tony Pollard looks like a solid backup running back. I'm not panicking.
Another University of Memphis.
Yeah. I'm not panicking on the Cowboys' fantasy offense here, even after this loss at all.
No, but I think there were people out there saying Dak's going to throw for 5,000 yards. People were reaching and turning this into one of the best offenses in the NFL. And I'm a huge Cowboys fan. Well, I'm a big Cowboys fan. I used to be a huge Cowboys fan. But they don't have the feel. And I think a lot of this falls on Dak, in my personal opinion, that he's just going to go just light every single defense on fire this year. I personally don't believe that. I still think Amari's going to be a beast. I think Gallup's going to have good games, and I think CeeDee Lamb's going to have some good games. But I'm just not quite as much of a believer as everybody else is that Dallas is this top 3 fantasy offense that you can count on 6 guys to produce week to week. That's just not the case in my personal opinion.
Well, I've got a lot invested in Dak Prescott, so I hope you're wrong.
Okay, fair. And I hate to be hating on our Shreveport boy, too, because, Halton, Louisiana.
Halton, yep.
But
I still like Zeke, though. I mean, I think they're going to keep guys still. I mean, obviously, I don't think there's anything to worry about with Zeke. Yeah. And one thing I'm looking out for is when Amari Cooper gets banged up, because he always does. Whenever he does get banged up, Gallup and CeeDee Lamb's value are going to go way, way up.
I think CeeDee looked good. There were parts where he's going to be a good pro.
Oh, no doubt. But are you starting him right now? Very serious.
Oh, absolutely not. No. I wasn't touching any of them this year.
Yeah, I feel you.
All right, Monday night, let's talk about Steelers-Giants. Big Ben with over 200 yards and a couple of touchdowns. This was certainly an ugly physical game. Juju Smith-Schuster caught a couple touchdowns, which was good to see after he killed everybody in fantasy last year after Roethlisberger went down because Pittsburgh couldn't throw a forward pass in the 2019 season. I'm sure they were thrilled to have Big Ben out there. That part was good. What was not good was James Conner going down with a sprained ankle already and Benny Snell getting in there. And Conner, a guy who I'll be honest, I loved this year. I really did. I was huge on him. I thought Pittsburgh's O-line and Big Ben coming back, would be a solid fantasy thing for him. Not the start we wanted.
I'm smashing the James Conner panic button. It just doesn't look good. I don't know. I think. Oh shoot, who am I?
Benny Snell.
Yeah, I just think he looked he looked more elusive. He looked like. I mean, I know Connor's supposed to be a better receiver, and they're planning on doing that a lot, but I don't know. I'm nervous about it.
Benny Snell looked too good. Like, honestly, 19 carries for 113. He averaged 6 yards per carry. Very good game. And he looked good last year. When he had opportunities last year, he looked pretty good. So I think this is a talented young man. I'm a James Conner owner. He's in my keeper league, so I kept him in the 12th round. Like, how are you going to turn that down? So I'm thinking about maybe trying to trade him, honestly. I think I may try and, rip what value I can out of him being a 9th round keeper next year and just hope that somebody will take that bait, because I'm not overly excited right now to be a James Conner guy. And coming into the year, Mike Tomlin's like, look, he's going to be our bell cow back. He's going to be our workhorse. And already after 1 week, he's hurt. And that's exactly what he did to us last year. He got hurt.
Well, in my big auction, I spent $1 on Benny Snell to handcuff Connor because I was worried about his injury. So
phenomenal.
I feel like a champ. I feel like so happy. I thought that was a brilliant.
Dear Mr. Fantasy.
900
IQ. Another Steeler I want to talk about that I took in actually both of my leagues, late round pick, sleeper, Deontay Johnson. I know he didn't have the best game. Still not worried. He had more targets than Juju, actually. So, Deontay Johnson owners, you're fine.
He only made one catch, but that catch by Claypool, the Notre Dame rookie, was insane on the sideline. He's a guy, like, I don't know if he'll have fantasy value this year, but he's a fascinating
great
prospect.
Catch. I love catch.
No, his size speed combo, he's a heck of a prospect and a fun guy to watch going forward. On the Giants side of it, man, Saquon couldn't. They shut him down in the running game. He made some plays in the passing game. Darius Slayton, over 100 yards and a couple of touchdowns. We saw him kind of make some plays with Jones last year. Seems like they came in the same rookie class and have a decent chemistry. Golden Tate was out in this game. Evan Ingram didn't really necessarily do too much. Moody, were you buying Slayton as a pickup this week, or was that a fluke game?
No, it's not a fluke game. He had some pretty impressive games last year as well. He falls into that same category for me where it's like he's just on the edge of being a flex option, but like I don't want to really feel great running him out on Sunday. So, but if you're desperate, you don't have a wide receiver 3, Slayton can definitely fill that gap. I got to get your take on one of your guys, Evan Ingram, because I have some Evan Ingram, and I think he's going to have a really good season.
I think it'll be fun.
He didn't do anything on Sunday or Monday night. What's your thought?
Man, I still feel pretty good about him. I do. I'm not going to panic because he's just got such a role in this passing game because they just really don't have that many other guys.
And Jones missed him in the end zone. You remember when they blocked the punt and they had the 3 straight. They had 1st and goal, and on 3rd down there. That should have been an easy touchdown. So, yeah, I mean, Ingram, he scares me a little bit. I overreacted a little bit there. I do think he's fine, but, I'm smashing fluke alert on Darius Slayton.
Well, I don't really like owning too much Giants in general. That's just not the most. No.
But
what do we think of Jones?
They're going to be better. They're going to be better.
Yeah, no, the Steelers have the best defense in the NFL, I think. So I don't think you can totally judge Johnson. I think that Steelers, I mean, they're ferocious. I mean, that defense is just unbelievable with TJ Watt and the D lineman they've got. I mean, and the Minka, and they're so.
I'd say unless you drafted a running back in the 1st round, when that guy's playing the Steelers, you got to consider benching. Got to consider it.
Do you guys think this is the lowest rushing yards that Saquon Barkley will ever have in a football game?
Yeah.
6 yards. He carries the ball 15 times.
Dude, no, but Barkley, the thing with him, though, man, he runs it in the line. He gets so many negative plays, and he busts a 70-yarder. He's never a guy that gets 4 to 6 yards. He doesn't get the
He's not going to have 6 yards in an NFL game ever again.
With 15, it was pretty crazy. I didn't realize it was that bad.
He had 7. At one point, he had
60 yards. He had 60 through the air.
He had like -9 at one point.
Yeah, it was a little rough for sure.
I own him. It was not fun.
All right, finally, last game. Let's get to Titans-Broncos. Denver, I thought, did a good job against Derrick Henry, but he still ran for 115 yards. On the Tennessee play-action game still looked good. Man, I like the Titans' weapons. With A.J. Brown, Corey Davis looked good in this game, finally healthy. Adam Humphries, who was hurt last year, back in the slot. And Jonnu Smith looks like a dude at tight end. I wouldn't mind owning it either with his athleticism.
Yeah, Jonnu Smith can run, man.
Yeah,
he's a wide receiver in a tight end spot. Dude can flat out fly. Corey Davis is that a Corey Davis sighting we have?
Yeah.
Is he actually going to show up and ball out? A.J. Brown is the guy that I would like to have, but Corey Davis was certainly sitting out there on some people's waiver wires this weekend. He's probably somebody worth looking at. Yeah, he's worth looking at.
I got him without using a waiver claim. I was pumped. Yeah.
Even better.
But I don't think he practiced today, though. So I don't know if
that's kind of been a thing for him. He's one of those chronically got something going on guys.
Yeah.
So.
Common thing. But so But he has to be on a roster, though. He has to be on somebody's roster in just about every league now, just based on what we saw.
Now. Yeah, right now.
Yeah.
On the Broncos front, Jerry Jeudy had a couple key drops, but I still liked what I saw. I mean, he still looked explosive running routes. He had over 60 yards in this game. I'm not panicking. They need Cortland Sutton out there. I thought that was a big loss. Noah Fant looked good at tight end. Looked very good.
Mm-hmm.
He's a guy I like. And then Philip Lindsay went down. Melvin Gordon scored a touchdown, but still was frustrating because that's what Melvin Gordon always is. They got a tough matchup at Pittsburgh this week, but I don't know. Locke looked good in the first half and struggled in the second half of this game, I thought.
Yeah, for me, Locke's one of the people I'm paying a lot of attention to right now. Like, is he good? Like, what are we going to see? This is the first chance to really see him. 22 of 33 in the game. He had a couple throws that he'd probably like to have back. He had a touchdown to, I think it was Fant. He did throw in one touchdown, but he had another time where he had him in the end zone and just missed him a little bit. So I think Drew Lock's going to be pretty good. Noah Fant is the one guy that I'd be looking at from this game saying, hey, there's somebody I might go trade for. And what are y'all's thoughts on Melvin Gordon? Because he's not a guy that I owned anywhere. I was a little concerned. I'm just curious. For me, he's somebody that I was too scared to put my hands on, but there should be value there.
Yeah, I wasn't going to draft him where he went. I think if we redrafted now and like Philip Lindsay got turf toe, he probably goes a little bit higher than he was. I kind of like it moving forward, though. I mean, I don't think. I think if he plays well, it's not going to take a whole lot for them to start giving him more carries than Philip Lindsay. Like, I don't think he has a big hurdle to jump over to start getting more and more carries.
The money, they paid him. He'll touch the football.
Oh, you're right. Never mind. You're right.
All right, let's. I think we've got a few listeners.
That thing that none of us have any of.
Well, we're going someday, baby. Someday. Rome wasn't built in the day. Rome wasn't built in the day, fellas. All right, let's touch on. We want to have a mailbag portion of the show that I think is gonna be a lot of fun. But this being the first one, we got a few. But we're gonna have people hashtag on Twitter, hashtag Dear Mr. Fantasy. Moody, I think we've got a few questions.
Yeah, we've got some stuff that's come in here on Facebook, on YouTube, and I've got a bunch of messages that we'll try and get to that come to my personal phone throughout the course of the day. How did you guys feel about Aaron Rodgers this weekend? I think another MVP performance is in the works for Rodgers this coming up weekend. What's your thoughts?
I like him. I mean, I think he goes way again, I know I've said this a lot, but in a redraft, I think he goes way higher. He looks like he's finally got, I don't want to say finally. He's had very good weapons in his past, but Devontae Adams finally looking to be that reliable target for him. They just look pretty good. And I guess they drafted Jordan Love to, get a rile out of him.
I'm not willing to go MVP or any of that yet. I think Rodgers had a really good week one, but I think that this could. I mean, he looked good, but I'm not willing to go anywhere near there.
He will light up Detroit on Sunday. So yeah, could he have another MVP performance on Sunday? Yeah, no doubt about it. This is going to be a good football team. It's the second year in LaFleur's offense. I think Valdez-Scantling will take a step forward as well. He's decently talented. Lazard is not.
No, that's
too bad
the key
himself.
Is those two guys, because if they can, those guys can give them some help opposite Adams, because last year they didn't get any.
Yeah. And you know what they did really well in this game is they didn't do a lot of last year. They threw the football downfield. They got vertical much more, and a lot of that has to do with Valdez-Scantling. He had a couple big catches downfield. If they can continually stretch the field down with those two guys and then let Adams just run his entire route tree, I mean, they're going to be tough, man. And Aaron Jones is salty in the backfield. So I'm normally not a guy that's buying all the Packer hype. I think right now I might be buying some Packer hype. Really.
All right, next question.
What do we think about Emmanuel Sanders, if Michael Thomas is going to be out for the Saints? I'll throw it to you boys down south there.
I'll let the Saints fan take it.
Yeah, I like him. I like him, but I don't think he's going to go out here and catch 10 balls for 130 yards, but he is going to get targets. I think he's a guy that can catch 4 to 7 passes a game. And I think you're going to be looking for balance with him and Jared Cook and Kamara in the passing game. But I've got Emmanuel Sanders on a few teams, and I think he's a wide number 3 receiver now. I think with Thomas being out.
Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense. Whoever is in that number 1 role for the Saints is always going to have some volume. So I like Emmanuel Sanders. If you're looking for a wide receiver 3 right now, flex option, I think Emmanuel Sanders fits the bill pretty beautifully.
Very good flex. Yeah, that's what I'll say.
Yeah.
Go
Oh,
ahead.
good.
Well, I was going to say we can touch on the Mike Thomas injury right now on that
Sure.
front because they just
Yeah.
brought it up. I think it's going to be a real problem for a long time because high ankle injury is the worst. And, people always hear the ankle part and think it's not a big deal, but those things linger. You look at Mike Thomas, as talented and good and he is, he already didn't necessarily separate the best. He was just really good at getting contested balls and running great routes. I'm worried about him. I mean, I'm thinking this could be a problem for 6 or 8 weeks even. And I'm very concerned about it more than most.
It's certainly not ideal. If I'll tell you this, if what I would do though, if Michael Thomas owner looks like they might be panicking or they don't have a lot of depth at wide receiver, I'd go fire some shots because he should be healthy by week 14. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I'm a little worried about it because his value is just so high and people draft him so early. I don't think you're gonna be able to get him necessarily that cheap. Let's move on. Any more questions?
We had a couple more. Yeah, a couple more here on YouTube. Justin Hillman says, I traded for Hopkins in my Dynasty League this offseason. I'm getting the most insane offers for him right now. Miles jumps in. Should I start Austin Hooper this week?
No.
No.
Now, and David Njoku played good in that first game too, which I thought was, a big part was they thought, he's a disappointment. Hooper was going to take his role, but him looking good can't be good.
Drop him. Why is he? He's asking if he should start him. Drop him.
Hold him for one more week.
Yeah, but add Baltimore
bring up-
stuff.
Hey, we'll have a drop party next week. We'll come with a list of guys that you just shouldn't have on your roster. Drop party next Wednesday. Another question from Miles. Should I start Hines, Singletary, or Robinson in the flex? I'm guessing he means James Robinson of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Hines.
Yeah, I think Hines.
Hines against Minnesota in a
Hines.
dome game. I'm going with Hines.
Yep. I've got a couple more coming in here. Miles Sanders or Jonathan Taylor. This is from Wesley Randall.
I think you
That's a
take the
good
chance on
question.
Sanders.
I'm going with Sanders because I think especially after they need to get him going.
I don't love it, but I think you got to take the chance.
I'm going with Sanders.
Yeah.
I think so as well. Yeah, I think so. Just more defined role at the moment. I'm going with Sanders. But week 3, we may be saying, dang, who are the Colts at? They're at the Vikings.
They have the Vikings at home this week, and then Miles Sanders has the Rams at home.
I like Jonathan Taylor a little bit more than they do. Take that for what it's worth. But I do think Miles Sanders is a very good option. How do y'all feel about JT moving forward? Okay, we're talking about Jonathan Taylor again. How much higher did his value go up for Mac's injury? And a lot of people are curious about Jonathan Taylor right now. Like I just said, he looked electric when he touched the football in this game. I thought he looked like the best back. But Nyheim Hines looked pretty good too, so I don't want to knock Hines' game just because Taylor had a good game. But coming into this season, it looked like the Colts were going to use 2 backs. I don't think that's changed at all. I think Jonathan Taylor is going to get a lot of the carries, and you'll see Nyheim Hines catch some of the footballs. So I think right now they're probably both pretty viable options.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we have any more? Or is that it?
I've got a question for you guys. This is a personal one. This is for me.
Okay.
Right now I have an option on the table. They're offering me George Kittle for David Johnson and Marquez Valdez-Scantling, and there's a couple picks involved in a dynasty league.
What are the picks?
I have David. It's like I trade my third for their second, or their second for my third, whatever.
So is that basically a wash, you would say?
Basically, well, I'm not too worried about the picks. I'm not even that concerned with it. How do y'all think David Johnson? Would you flip David Johnson right now for George Kittle if you needed tight end help? Basically,
In a
that's the
dynasty
question.
league?
I'm not too
Yes.
concerned.
Yeah.
In
Yes.
In a dynasty league, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I'm going to pull the trigger on that. after
Yes,
the show.
and Kittle's role, especially with the receivers, is yes. I mean,
Yeah.
His
look,
knees
don't
are
get me
a
wrong,
little
David Johnson
concerning,
looked
but-
good, but man, come on, man. I think
That's what I think I'm doing.
Yeah, you got a chance to have Kittle at like 3rd round value for. I mean, how many years do you get to keep people?
6. Yeah, as long as we're going, I guess.
Oh, okay. Okay. Some people usually
Yeah,
have
we'll
caps on.
see.
Okay. Well, then yes.
Mhm. All right, final question here. We'll wrap this one up after this. Thoughts about Zach Moss that comes in from Jeremy Brinkmeyer?
Big fan. I think he's going to get the majority of goal line touches. He went like 4 or 5 rounds after Singletary did, I think, in most drafts I did at least. And I always thought I didn't necessarily know he was going to be, or that I was going to think he was the better play, but I just had a feeling. And yeah, I like Moss. I like Moss a lot.
I still like him too, and the Jets actually have the one thing they do have is a pretty good run defense, and obviously the Bills beat him with Allen's legs and through the air. I still like Moss. And the other thing you got to think about rookie running backs, fellas, this goes for Cam Akers too. They usually emerge more in the second half of the season.
Facts.
People are always super pumped about them because they're fresh and they're like sexy in fantasy drafts. But a lot of times it's early on it's a little slower, and then the second half is when they break out. So I'm not hitting the panic meter on Zach Moss just yet. I will say, I know we're probably up against the clock a little bit. This has been a lot of fun. Probably went a little long on the review because I want to spend more time.
Okay.
We'll clean that up. We'll go quicker on the review on the recaps.
Yeah.
Moving
I
forward.
got one quick question for you. This came into my mind. Which of the rookie running backs would you rather have right now? Dobbins, Taylor, which rookie? Clyde Edwards-Helaire? Like that's my.
Well,
pick.
obviously Edwards-Helaire. Yeah, I mean that's obvious.
Okay,
but other than
let's take
him
out.
out.
Other than him, which one of those guys?
I'm taking
Who do you like
Dobbins.
the most?
I want Dobbins.
I think I like Jonathan Taylor the most.
I mean, it's between one of those two. I'll say Dobbins. I mean, they kept going to him at the goal line over an established Mark Ingram. Yeah, I'll go Dobbins.
Yeah. Okay. It's fair. It's a fun question.
That was fun.
Certainly. Well, guys, I got to say, this was just really fun getting Moody back on here like old times. The old
Good to
chemistry.
see you, man.
Yeah, and then look, and this is the first one on YouTube Live. Please subscribe, like, and subscribe to the ESPN Baton Rouge YouTube channel. What I can tell you next week is we're going to condense we ran a little long on the week one recap, and that's on me. We're going to condense that a little bit next week and do a little more on the previews is what we'll do going forward. But we're going to keep the Dear Mr. Fantasy mailbag going. We're also going to talk injuries. And, man, I love this, just getting in here and overloading them on fantasy football info.
This is the dream team.
Yeah, it's going to be – and I also just love the graphics and stuff. I think Martin did a phenomenal job with the Dear Mr. Fantasy logo. And, and we'll
want
also
to give a shout-out to Dave Chesick as well.
Yes.
So shout out to our boy
Dave with the logo crushed it. But
I just made it turn like that. I just made it move.
well, we're going to keep this thing rolling, and I love just getting on here and doing this. And what we're going to do is we're going to re-release this big time on Thursday mornings because there's a lot of people. We're doing this on Wednesday night real late, so some people are missing it. We're going to be blasted on all our social media. You can see that on the screens. And I just want to thank the fine people of ESPN Baton Rouge for allowing us to do this, to get on here and talk fantasy football. If FanDuel or DraftKings comes into the Louisiana market, which is supposed to happen in mid-October, we'll start doing more daily fantasy as part of the show when that gets legalized. But as of right now, that's not necessarily relevant in Louisiana until that happens.
All right. See you later, boys.
Yeah. I appreciate you guys. Thank you to everybody that took a little bit of time. I know it's Wednesday night at 10 p.m. There's a lot of things you could be doing. Certainly appreciate y'all for joining us. And if you have any questions, Dear Mr. Fantasy, please get it into our mailbags, and we'll be ready to answer them next week.
And you can just hashtag Dear
Mr. Fantasy.
If you hashtag it on Twitter, we can run it down. Just
Hey
hashtag
for the win. Shout out to Joel Rogers as well.
Yeah, heck yeah. And I appreciate we got a lot of support from the old school Shreveport people today who used to love our fantasy hour, and so I love getting everybody back together.
Shout out to my Live Me fam. I saw y'all dropping in. Shout out to the Live Me fam. I saw them. Thank you guys.
Awesome. Well, we're going to get out of here. We're going to be back next Wednesday at 10 o'clock. We're going to push this on social media in the morning, and we're going to get this thing streamlined. It's going to be a machine in a week or two. The first one tonight, a little bit of a trial run. We kind of, we're trying to start about 10 p.m. We got started a little later tonight dealing with some audio stuff, but look, it's first show. That's going to happen. Overall, I like the product. I certainly love the knowledge, and I appreciate you guys being part of it.
Yeah, appreciate it, guys.
All right. Thank y'all very much for joining us in the first edition of Dear Mr. Fantasy on the ESPN Baton Rouge YouTube channel.